Did somebody say Riptide by the band Beartooth? I don't know why I took that hoodie off. It was a Riptide hoodie. I freaking love Riptide, and I'm here to tell you why. Now you may be asking yourself, Shay, did you have to do all of that just to show off your elaborately specific outfit themed around Riptide because it's Riptide specific merch? Yes. Hey, I'm Shay. Or if you're a certain band member who shall remain nameless, Chey. And today, I'm gonna be your tour guide to the mixing side of Riptide. Ready? Rollin'. Now I know what you're thinking, Shay, you are not the person who mixed Riptide. How are you going to be the tour guide to the mixing side of Riptide? I am so glad that you asked, my very observant friend, because even while I didn't mix Riptide myself, I am an audio engineer, a studio engineer, and the thing I love more than anything besides being in the studio and tracking is mixing. I have severe ADHD, and along with that I have image-based synesthesia, and music has always been a giant part of my life. Even more so than that, music was always like a puzzle to me, and my little twinkly brain loves a puzzle. And what is mixing except putting all the pieces together to make the big, beautiful puzzle that you hear as the finished product? I've always loved, I guess now you would call it critically listening to music, but to me it was always just, what is that sound? What is that? What is that noise? What is that? How did they make that happen? How did they do that? How'd they do that? Oh, that's nice. That makes it sound like that, which goes along with that, that does that. You know the SpongeBob, we're not talking about this, or this, we're talking about... That's me with listening to music with my synesthesia. Now, where Riptide comes into this. I don't know if you knew this about me, but Beartooth is actually my favorite band. I know, take a minute for the information to soak in, I know it's a shocker. Beartooth is my favorite band for many reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is how many happy ears moments they give me. Happy ears is what I call whenever I get stimulation from listening to music. Stimulation as referring to the neurodivergent type of stimulation where you're like, ee! It's like fireworks in your brain. Beartooth's music does that for me all the time. Then Riptide came out. Let me tell you, my brain was like the 4th of July on steroids. I used to just look at music as, oh, that sounds really cool, or how they did that sounds really cool, how it all came together sounds really cool. Now, not only that I'm older and have more perspective, but I also have the perspective as an engineer, as someone who has tracked and someone who has mixed with various artists, and someone who just knows generally more about the process. I find it even more astounding when a song can trigger those happy ears moments for me. So when something like Riptide comes along and it's just a complete happy ears moments from start to finish, it's special. Firstly, I want to address something that's going to be an overarching general theme for this video, because I think it is one of the key components to a masterful mix, in my opinion, and something that this song absolutely nails. And what I'm talking about is using your mixing itself as storytelling. Now, we all know that songs can be used to tell a story, particularly through their lyrics. And sometimes we might think of, oh, that guitar, that piano sounds particularly sad, or that guitar sounds particularly excited. But at least in comparison to the amount that those things are considered, I'd say that mixing is generally undervalued by the public for the way it's able to tell the story. It's just something that has always interested me, something that has always fascinated me, and now it's literally part of my job. So when I find a song like Riptide that just absolutely nails it at its core, it excites me. It inspires me. This video is essentially just a longer version of an Instagram post that I made on the Beartooth lore account, otherwise known as the bane of Ashi's existence. Just kidding. Love you, Ashi, if you're watching this. I don't know why you would be, but... Obviously, I don't own any rights to the song. This is all Beartooth, this is all Red Bull Records, but I am going to be using clips from the song to illustrate my points. Am I going to get copyright struck? Absolutely. Does that bother me? Not really. Number 1, this channel's not monetized. At least not yet. Number 2, Beartooth already has all of my money anyway. Another quick little disclaimer. As I am addressing this song like it is a story, it's going to have a protagonist. The lyrics are from a point of view. In discussing that, I am not going to be referring to Caleb himself as the character, as saying Caleb is experiencing this, Caleb is doing that, because he's not a character. I am going to be discussing his vocals specifically, so I will say Caleb's vocals. Caleb is just the narrator, and we are the main characters. A general we. We're the protagonist. Just wanted to mention that way you're not confused when I'm saying we versus Caleb's vocal. I don't know what I was pawing at over here. Also disclaimer, clearly I don't speak for the band or for anyone in the band. All these opinions are clearly my own. I don't claim to know the song better than the people who made it or mixed it or did anything with it. This is my own pure chaotic take on it. So let's start at the beginning, shall we? Now, mixers often utilize their mixing skills to enhance the story that is being told through the lyrics. It's a story pumper-upper. It says, hey, the lyrics are angry, the instruments are gonna sound angry, the distortion is gonna be kicking in. But an even more powerful way to use mixing as a storytelling element is when your mix itself can become sort of like its own character in the story. So think about a general play in a theater, a musical if that makes it easier. You have the main cast on the front of the stage. You have a set, maybe a backdrop, maybe some wooden pieces painted by the cast. The main cast, the main people, would be your lyrics, maybe your instruments. And then your mix itself would be thought of as an element like your backdrops, your set, the costumes on the characters. Just little elements that really help drive the points of the story home. But mixing doesn't just have to stay in the background. It doesn't just have to be the set, the backdrop, the costumes. It doesn't just have to be the dressier upper elements of the story. Some mixers can transform the mix itself from seemingly simple but important accentuating elements such as the backdrop or costumes into a Greek chorus, into its own character within the song, within the story. Which is even more masterful, because what is the whole point of a great mix? To accentuate and emphasize what's going on in the story. So this is just that to another level. When you can turn the mix into a palpable character, that's just masterful. And that's what I believe Riptide does. And I'll explain why. So we know that storytelling and songwriting is generally done through the lyrics. Finally frozen, no more emotion, started escaping, now everything's numb. Dove in the deep end, stuck and I can't swim, so out of breath, I know I don't have long. Alright, cool. Our lyrics themselves let us know right off the bat where we are. We're in the heart of the Riptide, right? We're drowning. We need to get out, or else it's gonna be bad for us. Not only that, but we're stuck in these issues, and it feels like it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But listening around the lyrics, you can hear the mix itself, the music itself, seems alive, like challenging us itself.
Finally frozen, no more emotion, started escaping, now everything's numb.
In some parts of the mix and some parts of the music, it seems to be reflecting the emotion of these lyrics. But only in parts. The other parts of the music of the mix seem to be in response to the ones matching the mood of the lyrics. And this is our first indicator that, the mix seems to be complex. So we hear those drums, right? They are racing, they are pounding. It's like a pounding heartbeat, right? Just boom, boom.
Dove in the deep end, stuck and I can't swim, so out of breath, I know I don't have long.
So that's reflecting on us, right? That's reflecting the mood of the lyrics. Like, oh crap, we're drowning. So the drums are like our heartbeat, right? Caleb's vocal is being swallowed up. It feels kind of distant. You could say it's very representative of the lyrics, which talks about, being surrounded. And here is where we get to the mix and the music being used as a response element. Because yes, Caleb's vocals are being swallowed up, but what are they being swallowed up by? In comes the mix as a character. Not only that, it seems to be the antagonist. And how sick is that? We're surrounded by darkness, we're surrounded by struggles, we're drowning in it. And then we have the darker tones of the bass and the guitar coming in to represent that darkness that we feel we're surrounded by. And it is not sympathetic. It is definitely setting the scene for a battle. Us versus them. Them being the issues, a version of ourselves, however you would like to put it. Then we get to the first chorus. Yeah, this is way too much, just give me the rush. Repeated, I'm done explaining my pain, this is way too much. I want to feel euphoria, give me the rush. Cause it's the last time I romanticize the riptide that's trying to drown me. Full of excuses for way too long, don't want to sing another hopeless song. Cause it's the last time that I romanticize the riptide. It's a riptide. So now the song is starting to talk about fighting and overcoming those struggles, right?
This is way too much, just. Yeah, this is way too much, just. I'm done explaining my pain. This is way too much. I wanna feel euphoria. Give me the rush.
And if you listen to Caleb's vocal, it's still really covered in the music, but it's no longer completely swallowed.
'Cause it's the last time that I romanticize the riptide that's trying to drown me. Full of excuses for way too long.
And in comparison to the first verse, there's almost a lighter tone to the guitars, at least in comparison now to the bass and the drums in the background. But one does not take stage more than the other.
Don't wanna sing another hopeless song, 'cause it's the last time that I romanticize the riptide.
We have the lighter-ish sounding guitars versus the drums and the bass now doing the bulk of the darker, grittier sounds. We have dark versus light. So while we have Caleb's vocal, the lyrics talking about ourselves trying to fight through these struggles and overcome it, we also have the mix showcasing this, of the light trying to fight its way through the dark, now with the guitars taking on a slightly lighter tone, like us trying to fight our way through the riptide. Us versus them.
Riptide.
During this chorus, I'd say if you want to get even more specific, we now have 3 characters. We have us, the light, and the dark. So that makes what happens in the second verse and the rest of the song all the more interesting. Something interesting happens in this second verse, ever since the appearance of the light. I'm so ashamed of my vicious problems, keeping the worst of me all to myself. It's overwhelming, not ever telling the ones I love that I gotta find help. In the first verse, things felt really kind of hopeless, right? And in the chorus, we started getting this little bit of hope poking through the darkness. The light came in during the chorus, and while it's still small, it is there. More importantly, it has stayed in this second verse. It has stayed through this growth. Because remember, this darkness, which sounds louder, it sounds meaner, it has nothing but straight up evil on its mind, said it ain't going anywhere. The light seems to say, neither am I.
I'm so ashamed of my vicious problems, keeping the worst of me all to myself.
So where are we? Well, it seems like we're doing a little bit better, or at least we're trying to. Whether that's because of or in conjunction with the light, but the point is that both are present and both matter in this story. As the lighter tones were basically non-existent in the first verse, where it all seems kind of hopeless and everything sucks, and then they appear in the chorus when we start to have this moment of like, hey, there's got to be something better on the other side of this, I gotta get out of this. And now in the second verse, they're appearing with these lyrics that seem even more self-aware, even more hopeful. The lighter tones seem to grow in conjunction, seem to represent a growth of hope, of everything in contrast to this ultimate darkness that swallowed us up at the very beginning. And it may still be small, but it's still here, and it's still growing.
It's overwhelming, not ever tell me the ones I love that I gotta find help.
So the lighter tones aren't the dominant sound, but they are hanging over still just this racing heartbeat of the drums, which makes sense because we're still kind of panicking, right? Which, you know, we should be. And they're still there in contrast to the dark tones as our fight continues. As these two characters seem to be having it out, Caleb's vocals representing us, along with the drums, do something cool. If you listen in the second verse in comparison to the first, Caleb's vocals are no longer swallowed up. They're still a little bit distant, but they're more present sounding in the middle. They're not right up here in your face, but they are more present, more centered, if you will. Which, in the case of this story, would be a perfect representation of us, of our character, lingering in between the light and the darkness. Hope change, and the Riptide and drowning. We were over here in the extreme with the first verse, and then, oh, who's this? Someone else appears in the chorus, and now we start to shift. Still trying to fight our way out of the darkness, because it's still around us. But now, we have a little bit of help. So while Caleb's vocal, and more so us, are surrounded by these two characters of opposing forces, it seems like the light starts to gain a little bit more of an edge as the verse goes on. Then we come to the chorus again, which is the same deal as the first chorus, except instead of the light making an appearance, the light starts to make a stand.
Yeah, this is way too much, just. Yeah, this is way too much. I'm done explaining my pain. This is way too much. I wanna feel euphoria. Give me the rush, 'cause it's the last time that I romanticize Riptide that's trying to drown me.
As it started in the second verse and now going into the chorus, the lighter tones are starting to get stronger and stronger the longer we go on.
Love excuses for way too long. Don't wanna sing another hopeless song, 'cause it's the last time that I romanticize Riptide. It's a Riptide.
Then we personally get to my favorite part of the song, which I think is a lot of people's favorite part of the song, the breakdown, the bridge. That was Act 1 and Act 2 of our play. Now, we're building right up to the climax. So as Caleb starts the line, "Don't wanna die, I guess I gotta let it go," there's a complete shift from what we've known. Caleb's vocal and us, whereas we had been now sitting in the middle trying to pull our way out, now we're in like a void. We are totally, seems to be drowning in the middle of these two tones, these two overwhelming sides. These two overwhelming opposing forces of choice. And it seems to be getting deeper and deeper and deeper, because these two sides are here saying, you gotta pick one of us. You gotta make a choice. One side or the other. Either that, or perish trying to.
Don't wanna die, I guess I gotta let it go. Don't wanna die.
There's this haze of reverb and echo and effects signaling this struggle, signaling the complicated back and forth. A mesh of all these different tones. A mesh of chaos, quite honestly. It almost sounds like we're falling into it. It almost feels like audible fainting. And then we make the decision. We won't drown. Now, if we were on a stage, this is the part where the main character would have their own soliloquy at the very front of the stage with the spotlight on them, black on the rest of the stage. So how do you accomplish that in a song where just a second ago we had a mesh of chaos of noises, which is pretty accurate for the buzzing that's probably going on in a lot of our heads trying to pick one side or the other. How do you do that? Essentially, it's the same method, different tool. Spotlight. On a stage, you would have a spotlight on the actor. And in this mix, we have a spotlight come down too. Caleb's vocals cut completely through the noise with the last "let it go."
I guess I gotta let it go.
Because as those elements, as the light and the dark are characters themselves, like characters on a play, we're the main character. It's our choice that matters. So as this chaos is raging, gotta pick one side or the other, blah, 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 bam, spotlight comes down on us.
I guess I gotta let it go.
And our decision is made. We're fighting through. And the breakdown. This is the part of the mix that showcases these two fully formed characters of light and darkness. Not only are they fully formed, but now they are full-fledged, going at it, going to war. And what we hear in this mix is literally a tug of war between the light and the dark. No longer are the lighter tones just growing and growing and growing. Our decision has made sure that they have sprouted right up in full bloom. And buddy, it is a force to be reckoned with, because now we're fighting back just as hard against the darkness as it was fighting us to keep us there. Not only that, if you listen, finally the lighter, higher tones are gaining an edge over the darker ones. It's literally just an audible tug of war as they get louder and more powerful and more visceral than their darker counterpart. We have the screaming guitars and the growling bass and the pounding drums just fighting to escape as it fights to try and keep us there.
Let it go.
is the climax of the play, and now we're nearing the end. The breakdown ends with everything starting to fade out, at least volume-wise, considerably from where it was. As this war starts to end, as the battle starts to be decided, and the music starts to fade, Caleb's vocal starts coming through. This, of course, helping to represent us as separate from the issues of light and dark, of hope and despair. The war, it seems, has been decided, and we definitely know what side we're on. Now this is where the real magic happens, where everything culminates, where the story has a resolution. We come back to the chorus, but it is no longer the same deal as before. Nowhere near it. This chorus is not a rallying cry. This chorus is not a call for hope. Whereas the others seem to be kind of a pep talk to ourselves in order to foster the growth of the light. There is no more hesitancy. There is no more uncertainty in this chorus. This is a frickin' victory lap. The lighter side, our recovery, our happiness, has won out over the Riptide. Completely just decimated it. The drums slow down. They're a little bit more relaxed than they were at the beginning of the song. Not by much, but they're not quite that quickened, panic, heart-racing beat. It's more like one that you'd have after a brisk walk in the cold outside. Quick, but comfortably so. Even more importantly, and this is the part that gives me chills every single time, and I'm serious. For the first time, Caleb's vocals come back insanely clear. And I mean insanely. They are crisp, they are crystal clear for the very first time in this entire song. It is not only clear, but it is present. It is right here, front and center.
I'm done explaining my pain. This is way too much. I wanna feel you. Hurry up, give me the rush, 'cause it's the last time that I romanticize the Riptide that's trying to drown me.
And it's us, right? Showcasing that, hey, here we are. This is a declaration. For the first time, we're no longer surrounded by all these warring issues. This Riptide, we're no longer drowning in it. We're here. We're apart from it. Caleb's vocals, and by extension us, are no longer swallowed up by this darkness. We're not even overshadowed by the light. For the first time, we're detached. We're apart. And while those two sides are still warring in the background, they're still present, they're still there, we're standing out on our own. We're not one with them. We're us. We're not defined by them.
Full of excuses for way too long. Don't wanna sing another helpless song, 'cause it's the last time that I romanticize the Riptide. It's a Riptide.
And then, the song ends. And what a journey it was. Okay, that's it. That was so much more than I thought it was gonna be. Oh my gosh, it took me like 3 hours to film this. What the heck? This song, to me, personally, is just a masterclass in mixing. The way it not only manages to enhance the power of the lyrics, but also becomes its own entity in the story, and something that embodies the story and moves it forward. Usually you'd expect a song or the mood of a song to be sympathetic with the singer, with the vocalist, with the lyrics. This mix manages to create its own character that's like, you know what? No, screw you. I'm against you. But also have this other side that comes up that's like, I don't think so, fam. Frankly put, this entire song, the music, the lyrics, the mixing, is an excellent exercise in storytelling. How it balances both complex and simple themes to take us on a journey like this is nothing short of incredible. And I know what a lot of people are going to say. They're going to be like, girl, you're overthinking it. Girl, it's not that deep. And you know what? It's probably not. I probably am overthinking it. I tend to do that a lot. I tend to make things a lot more complicated than they probably are. Caleb, the guys, someone can tell me if I'm wrong. And if I am, okay. What I know for sure though is that so much love and attention was put into every element of this song, which is just par for the course with Beartooth, because they're amazing. But it shows. If someone like me can make a however long this video is going to be about just one single, that ought to give you a hint for how much care is put into an entire album by this band. Anyway, this has gone on long enough. I love this band, love their music. This video has been a long time coming, but quite frankly, I've just been a little bit afraid to make it. Because I am not the most well-spoken individual. I am very creative, I will give myself that, but if you've seen any of my videos, or even if you haven't, I am not the most articulate person, but also I'm not like a big-time professional mixer, you know, with like a ton of albums under my belt or anything. I'm just a girl who's really, really passionate about music, and loves and tries to appreciate other people that are equally as passionate about it and the awesome work that they put into making their music. Not to mention, I want to do other videos like this about songs that I love, about albums that I love. I love talking about music, even if I don't always sound the most smarticles. I'm also excited for this video to go up ASAP because I'm seeing Beartooth on May 24th in Nashville with my mom on their co-headlining tour with Trivium, and we are so crazy pumped. I think my mom even more so because she knows that she's kind of a legend in the Beartooth fan community. I don't know if legend is the correct word, notorious might be more fitting. She's like a cryptid in the Beartooth fan community. They love my mom. She once told Caleb she loves his drums because it sounds like he's beating someone's head off. I'm not joking. Look at my face. I'm not joking. And of course my mom is like, do you think there's a way that we can get to watch from backstage? And I'm like, Mom, I don't work for the band. That would be awesome. I would love that. Honestly, one of my bucket list items. Oh, Momma Chey. Alright, that's it. I really am tired. I really am gonna get out of here now. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you stuck around this long, you're a legend. Or cryptid. Whatever you prefer. Like I said, I hope to be making a lot more videos like this soon. Probably not this in-depth, but definitely talking about music that I love. If you haven't heard it from anyone else today, I love you. Love and peace.